Hi, welcome to Personal Growth Videos by Mind Mojo. I'm Sajita. We're having a very serious discussion today on domestic violence. With me is Adv.Smruthi Sasidharan, and she's a dear friend of mine, and we do a lot of programs together. We do programs on healthy relationships, toxic relationships, and she takes the session on domestic violence. She practices for the High Court of Kerala, and I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome, Smruthi.
Thank you, Sajita. It's been an honor that I'm here and talking to you in this section because what I understand is that this has been a long pending discussion because domestic violence is even today a hush matter in most of the homes. So I'm very much happy to impart whatever information I have in this session. Thank you, Sajita, for the invite.
Thank you for being here. We'll not take too much time with intros. Let's get on to the topic.
Sure.
Yeah. Smriti, Domestic Violence Act came about in 2005, right?
Yes.
Before that, how was domestic violence addressed by the law? What did the law say about domestic violence?
Well, before this particular act, though there were violence at homes, it was not considered by law. Though they took notice and cognizance, but there was no particular action mentioned by the law to be taken against people within intimate relationships. The only recourse that there was IPC, that is Indian Penal Code, like an offense and its punishment. Like if you hit a person, you attract a certain sections of IPC and you will be punished accordingly. Most of the women would never come against their loved ones and raise a case against them.
Even if it's a violent relationship?
Yes, because they fear, even today women are not secure in many phases of their lives.
True.
They're dependent. They're dependent for their economic freedom or they're dependent for their emotional well-being into something called a family. So they wouldn't like to lose that. So they wouldn't raise a voice. But many human rights activists and feminists went on and raised this matter, and then the law had to be in place because that's also one more reason is that we are part of the United Nations, we are signatory nations, and we are putting all efforts as a nation to become more civilized and more global. We are a signatory member in something called CEDAW, which is a convention where we agreed that every nation will take its measures to eliminate all kinds of discrimination against women. Violence also is addressed in that convention.
Okay.
So that's how in 2005, the convention happened way back in 79, we are recognized in 80, and through the law in 1993 also we took notice of the violence that is happening, we recognized, but it took 2005 for an act to come in.
How does law define a home? What does domestic mean in terms of law? Because I remember you mentioning that there are definitions for each word. For the better understanding of our audience, can you tell us what is the definition of a home or domestic?
Law is meant basically for protection, and if violation of that particular law brings in actions, counter actions, penal actions. So definitely law cannot be vague. Law has to be definite and defined. So yes, when it comes to domestic violence and what is domestic is being very much understood or defined in law. What is domestic is a relationship which is recognized by law. Now what relations are recognized by law? Let's take an example. You're my friend.
Yeah.
We are related that way. But does it
come under the law?
Can we term the relation we have as domestic?
No, because you live in another house, I live in another.
House. Even if suppose we are living together as friends in a house, and do you think still a domestic, we would come under the angle of domestic relationship?
I'm not sure.
Though friendship is one of the very powerful relationships that we know about, or we make a big thing about friendship, unfortunately, according to law, friendship is not recognized as a relationship which would attract rights and privileges and legal entities that follow a relationship.
Okay.
So for a domestic relationship, under the law, it has to come through blood or through process of law.
Okay.
So marriage is a process of law.
Okay.
Now blood I don't have to be explaining here. Your father, mother,
daughter,
brothers, and marriage, adoption, these are process of law.
Okay.
So relations which are defined, which come about through blood or through the process of law, is considered as a relationship under the law, and people living together who are related to one another either by blood or law and living in the same space gets defined as a domestic space or a shared household as per the legal terms. I need to add one more thing. Our law, as you know, is expanding, and it is trying to improve and incorporate all the new types of relations that are coming in. So, yes, right now, domestic relation for a trans person who is in a marriage with a cisgender also comes under the Domestic Violence Act, and also cohabiting partners is recognized.
Okay, so now we have the definition of a family and a domestic setup. Can you describe what is defined as violence in a family?
This is something I love about this particular legislation, is that things that is defined or considered and recognized as violence are very trivial matters that happens in every home. Now,
how trivial?
Now I'm telling you, I'm calling you names every day, in and out.
Okay,
I'm ridiculing you. I'm demeaning you.
Putting me down.
Putting you down most of the time, treating you as a doormat.
Okay.
These are all violence. That is something very I love about this act, is that, everything that goes beyond your tolerance. Everything, because these are very trivial matters. You get hit by your brother, you get hit by your husband. Now, hitting part, with physical violence, even one set of violence is taken as violence. You don't have to wait till you're bleeding to raise your voice. Yeah, even, I think most of us has watched Thappad.
Yes.
Even one Thappad is not tolerated under the act. And that's the beauty of this act. Recently I happened to be in a college, and I asked most of the kids, what if someone forced you to marry someone else? Do you think that's violence? So they said, that's not violence.
And can you give a case against your family?
Family. Just because you are not allowed to marry the person of your choice, can you file a case against your parent? The whole hall, resonated with saying no. Now I said, okay, well, the law recognizes it's a violence, you can definitely go file a case and get protected, because choosing a partner is your choice, which is a right protected. Yeah, I told you, law largely speaks of protection rather than punishment. So here, to make your own choice, you should be a free person. Now we have to understand, this law gives women a big platform to claim their rights within their homes. We are a citizen whether we are inside the homes or outside the homes.
What are the fundamental rights that are being violated in homes? See, from what I understand, homes are the places where the most violence is perpetuated, where there is no democracy, where rights are violated left, right, and center. And yet nobody complains, nobody comes out and talks about it. So what are our fundamental rights as a citizen? As full citizens, what are our rights?
Fundamental right is, right to equality. We need to be treated with equal opportunities. You should not be discriminated either because of your gender, your creed, your caste. On any basis, you should not be discriminated. Now coming to then, you have right to life, right? The right to life is just not existence. It's a right to life with dignity. So what all defines dignity? Now we have to understand our fundamental rights, and the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, they stand one on one.
Okay.
Yeah, they stand together. That is, you are a human and you have certain rights, and the country has to recognize you. It is then that you become a citizen. So in our homes, which should be ideally a democratic place, where you should be learning the first lessons of your fundamental right as a human being, it's violated. I hope that is clear. You have right to life, you have right to equality. Right to equality also includes your right to equal opportunities. Opportunity should not be denied to you. Yeah. Then
marrying someone of your choice is actually a denial of your opportunity and choice.
Yes. Denying somebody to choose. You have freedom of expression. So you are wearing a jeans and a top. That's a political statement. Okay. What you wear is a political stand. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Nobody gets to dictate to you on what you should wear, because that's your choice, and very personal choice at that. Now understand, in homes where all your fundamental rights are getting curtailed.
Right to liberty?
Right to liberty, definitely, yes. So what is liberty? Now liberty, it can be curtailed by the state whenever there is an emergency and whenever there is an alert situation, that can be curtailed. But at homes, these fundamental rights, to right to liberty, right to life, right to choice, right to expression, and right to equality gets violated all the time. All the time. If you take an incident one day in your life, within the home, you can see there all it is being violated. But unfortunately, we cannot unleash fundamental rights into homes. Reason being, it will create another set of problems. But then, your right as a human being cannot be violated. That is why we bring in laws.
You said beyond tolerance. Can you just elaborate on that?
Tolerance is, see, now somebody is telling a sexist joke in a home. Okay. Now that, if I'm going to tolerate it once, it's going to get repeated all through. I'll tell you a specific incident that happened in my home. My husband had this habit of slapping my bum. I used to get annoyed. First 2 times, okay, it was fine, it was okay. But then it was annoying. So I told him, it is annoying. I want you to stop it. He says, what is so annoying in it? Now, this is a very trivial matter. It happens between husband and wife. Because you have a very physical, intimate relationship with that. So I told him, outside the bedroom, even inside the bedroom, I have certain limitations within my body that you cannot violate. I am not comfortable means I am not comfortable. You are not supposed to cross that line. For you, it is a very trivial matter. You are entering into my space. So you understand, you define your tolerance. You define your threshold. If somebody tells you to tolerate this kind of shit, please don't take it. They are just bullying you. It is a bullying of one kind or the other. Whoever tells you, so please don't.
We have different types of violence. Physical violence, I do understand. I think our audience also gets it. What is physical violence? There are other kinds also. Can you elaborate on that?
There is sexual violence, forceful intercourse by a husband. I know this country does not recognize marital rape as an offense, unfortunately. But yes, many activists are working on it because you cannot be violated even within a marital ties. But this particular act, though you will not get a relief or a punishment under IPC, a person gets protection under Domestic Violence Act. She can approach the court for a relief.
Can you just explain that in a very, very common language? What does it mean to get relief, or what does it mean to say you cannot get an IPC on your side for sexual violence inside the marriage?
Now, see, when you say forceful intercourse or against your will, we all know that...
It's rape.
Yeah, it is rape. It is rape. Now, the question arises, can you file a case against your husband for raping you? Now, the rape is defined as 376 in our IPC Act, which has severe punishments. Now, marriage, as we all know, is a social sanction given for a sexual relationship and for creating a progeny. So, it cannot be construed as an offense which would attract punishment for one of the participants in the act.
Okay.
Because marriage in itself says consent.
Correct.
Yeah? So it is consent. Whatever happens inside the marriage is consent. So you cannot break that. So you are saying this person is forcefully having sex with me. I need a protection from him. Please save me. Now when a woman says that, there are so many things that the law has, provisions. The person can be removed from that home. The woman can be taken to a safe home. Okay, if there is more of this violence, he can be restrained from being in that home. Okay. So those kind of release. Okay. He will not be punished because it does not warrant a punishment. Because the marriage has a social sanction. I cannot say social sanction for raping you, but then there's a relief in domestic violence. So women, please raise your voice. There's another trivial matter in sexual offenses is, forcing you to watch pornography. It is normalized that men can watch pornography and women can be even shown whether she's willing or not. Now that is an offense under this act.
If someone is not willing, they cannot be forced to watch.
Anything against your will. That's what I'm telling you. Anything against your will or anything beyond your tolerance is harassment. That's a standard line which we have to understand. Another thing is, verbal and emotional violence. Now, emotional violence, ignoring people. Then this particular act says that someone acting or not performing the acts that is expected out of you is also violence. Abandonment is violence.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We see a lot of family members abandoning their families.
Yeah. Men most of the time walk out of the families, leaving the wife and the children to fend for themselves. They get criticized and, mined for all these things that the man do in the family. Finally, they literally land on the streets.
So that is also emotional violence, actually criticizing the women or the children for what the men do.
Yeah, and do you know, even if the family members, if the in-laws are poking on you or bullying you or, blaming you for not having a male child, it's an offense under this act.
Okay.
And not blaming you for not having any children, that also.
I'm sure after hearing the entire list, a lot of us will be thinking, how violent is our home?
Homes, yes.
Yeah. So we have covered sexual violence. Even not having sex is also violence.
Yes.
Denying sex is also violence. You said physical, anyway, everybody is aware of it. Emotional, verbal. Then what else is there?
There's something called economic violence.
Okay.
Economic violence is not allowing you to take up a job. We know in well-settled homes, women are not allowed to work. That situation also exists in homes where there is no means to livelihood. There also, women are stopped from taking up a job of your choice. That's violence. There are men who says, teaching is what is good for you.
You'll come back home on time and be there for the kids.
Yeah, and moreover, that's a woman's job.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and stopping your children from pursuing what they want to do. I understand mostly photography, filming, and all those things are basically jobs not meant for women, which I think is wrong.
For the safety of our daughters,
Yes.
okay.
There is enough law to protect us. We don't want any more safety hands around us.
Just give us our rights.
Yes.
And treat us
not
as...
even give us recognize our rights. Nobody
exactly.
has.
I'm sorry to use that word give. Just recognize our rights.
Because, I would like to tell a statement here. When I have been a rebel all my life. I was a person who used to be very active in social and political life. So one of my brothers said, you are misusing the freedom that we gave you. So I asked him, who are you to give me freedom? I take my freedom. Freedom is there. It's my choice.
It's yours.
No, it's my choice whether I want to subject it to someone else. You're nobody to give me freedom. Now, it does take some time to hit this, See, you are a citizen. And you are a citizen of your country, and it should begin from home. You should recognize that, I am having a teenage son. He is going to grow up tomorrow and choose a government of his own. So I should first recognize his rights and allow him to exercise his rights so that he makes the right choice.
How about, I earn money, but my ATM card is with my husband.
That's violence. That's economic violence, yes.
Giving my salary.
Not allowing you to spend the money that you earn. You see, when you say, my ATM is with my husband, now, when you say that in itself will not create violence. Not allowing you to spend the money that you make. When you state it in that way, it becomes violence, even when you hear it. Not allowing you to exercise or use the money according to your will, what you are making. That attracts, it's violence.
So, physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, and economic violence.
Yes.
So, these are the violences described in the Act. I mean, is it specific? There's a list, and is it just specific, or is it open?
It's an open list. It's an open list because we do not know what all could be construed as violence, because what is violence for me may not be violence for you. It's an open-ended thing, the open-ended list. Now, specifically, they have put some things, name calling, ridiculing, and they said any other matter.
Matter beyond my tolerance level.
Yeah, suppose you're in a rented home, there was a tiff between you and your husband, he stopped paying the rent. Very trivial matter, right?
No, not paying the rent is not trivial.
No, think about it. That is, most of us are privileged to consider that not paying rent is not a trivial matter. Okay? For most of the women, the last month we had a fight, so my husband did not pay the rent, so
I borrowed money from my parents.
And paid.
Or I paid, or whatever. Yeah.
I paid, I borrowed. That is why I'm in thing. See, that's what I told. When you look at it, whatever is not for you.
Okay, I have this question. Are men covered under Domestic Violence Act?
Unfortunately, no.
Why is that? Because we are talking about equality all the time. And I have had this question come from a lot of people. If you're aiming for equality, then why do we have special and specific laws for women only?
No, when you talk about equality, we should be talking something called equity. I think Mitali Raj has a person who has bought this thing for, like the convenience, the facilities is available to men are not available to women, even in the sports, where mostly we consider as gender neutral. Now, coming to our subject, suppose there is a football match, the men are given well-patched turf and the women are given a play to. Where do you think the match can be equated? Understood? The playing field is not equal. So until then, we have to have something to uplift. So what we'll first do, we'll try to see that the turf is made for the woman to play. So in its society, that leveling of the turf is through reservations. So that more opportunities get open more for women.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have many laws specifically for women to push women for their rightful representation through reservations. Without reservation, you don't get it.
True, and culturally we are not asked to push and take our space, claim our space.
You can see all these denial of facilities and amenities within your homes.
True.
If you have a son and a daughter, typical, like the son will be given a better piece of the cake. This is mostly not
And
intentional.
Fried fish.
Fried fish, yes. I think Reema Kalingal has raised the issue of the fried fish.
And a lot of people actually made fun of her for it, but it is the truth in so many homes.
The mother intentionally don't do it, but then this is what we have been conditioned to do.
Yeah, and then we end up thinking we are not equal enough.
Yes. Now the men here most of the time also don't recognize or understand their acts amounts to violence. Their acts amounts to harassment because it is something very normal for them to do.
And I think also the men do not have consequences for what they do.
Yes, they don't.
As children also, boys will be boys, men will be men. They are let go. There are no consequences.
There are no consequences.
Until the relationship breaks down into such a way that you end up in court.
Yes.
Or you end up hitting each other. Or you end up being dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most of the time it's the women who takes the brunt of anything that comes their way. Whether it is toxic relationship, how many men get beaten up and hanged to death by their...
or the petrol is thrown on them.
Yeah, but then we will have cases, people saying that, come on, oh, that lady, she cut her lover into pieces and put him in a suitcase. Okay, there is a particular thing, I went to a co-ed college for giving a class on equality and not just domestic violence, on equality. And this guy was there. Madam, there are very less women in prison. I said, give us opportunity. We'll show you how we can fill it.
I really don't want to go there.
No. So I told him, this is it. Opportunity. Like, opportunity is for good and the bad. For us, even for the good, we have to fight. And mostly it is in this fight that we end up in the prison. The reason why women end up in prison is mostly her reaction towards all this violence against her.
And then there is victim shaming also.
Yes.
Even if the women react, there is a lot of victim shaming.
Yes.
Even in domestic violence, she could have just, brushed it aside. She's breaking the home. All those comments we get to hear.
Yes.
But I'm glad that people are using laws. And there is something a lot of people say that, the laws are being misused. The domestic violence laws are being misused. Do you have a comment on that?
There's always good and bad about anything. Even if it is misused, we cannot deny rights. Right? Now, like rape laws, most of the people are telling lies. Most of the POCSO cases are made up for revenge and all. Okay, fine, it will happen, it's fine. But that cannot stop us from giving away or making an opportunity for people to claim their rights. A misuse of law is not an excuse.
This law came into being because it was rampant. The violence was rampant.
There was a dowry deaths. Even dowry-related offences are considered as offence. Dowry Prohibition Act that came in the 1960s. It was actually meant to stop dowry deaths. Okay, because women being burnt alive. I think when I was young, I have heard instances of dowry deaths a lot. Because at that time, the world wasn't this small. Yeah, we had only
newspapers and All India Radio. Yeah.
But today the world is small. We get to know anything and everything that happens around the world. So now we know that this happens very close home. Yeah. So dowry is still an issue. We know about the case of Ismail, right? We know that was actually a classic case of domestic violence which turned brutal. Ended up the person taking his own life. We have all these dowry law, but it didn't stop the dowry or the dowry deaths. Okay, because until that death happens, there are so many violence that happens inside.
Yeah.
Only ultimately it ends up in death.
But I don't think our own people recognize them as violences.
Taking away your dowry, I mean, dowry itself is an offense, okay, in itself. Now, there is always a misunderstanding that dowry and Stridhan are the same. I guess I can use
please.
this platform.
Yeah.
Now, Stridhan is something which your parents give to you, or my parents give to me. Okay, maybe in the form of gold or cash or
Property,
kind or
whatever. Okay.
That is mine as Stridhan. It's something given to me. Dowry is given to the groom's family. So what, we always find a way out. So people, in the name of giving it to the groom, give it to the daughter, and ultimately the groom starts claiming this Stridhan.
I have heard families claim it as their right to have that money.
No, it's not. Stridhan is meant for the woman, not even her child has a right over it. See, ultimately, when we say about rights, the person who gets the entire right on a parent's property is the child. Stridhan, even the child cannot claim it as a right. Woman can give the privilege for the child to receive it, okay, but not claim it as a right. So, this difference is there. So, please, women, if you get gold for your wedding, keep it to yourself, that is your property. I would like to also say that, finances has to be managed separately. Like, yes, you can have a joint account to do the day-to-day affairs, but keep your own accounts. Have your own money, because most of the time seen is that when a woman raises her voice against any kind of violence, in the initial time there will be family, there will be friends to support her. But later on it's her own battle, where she is a lone warrior. All these legal laws, the lawyers, all will be just her armors that can stop to an extent, but the battle is her own. She has to fight it out. So it's always better to have your
Own money.
to keep yourself safe and going.
Suppose we are facing violence, who do we reach out to?
There are so many mechanisms that the state has engaged for women to reach out. The first is, foremost is, yes, you can call 100, 112 or 181, which are the emergency numbers, where police come to you and rescue you. Okay, that is one. And then police is one, if you feel that you're not comfortable going to the police. Because most of the time I find women find it very difficult walking into a police station. So there is something called Women Protection Officer, allotted for every district, so they can go there.
How do we reach out to the protection officers?
It comes under social justice.
Social justice, and you...
Women and Child Development Department is the one who takes care of this.
Okay.
Okay, and another thing is that...
We look out for District Protection Officer.
Yeah,
Okay.
Women Protection Officer.
Okay.
It's a district level.
And all the numbers are given in the website.
Yes. Okay, and they are very approachable. And then there is a one-stop center, crisis center, where the women can walk in and they can get legal aid, medical aid, a psychological aid. It's a package. And even there is a safe home where the person can reside for a day, 2 or 3.
How do you find contacts of that?
Everything is a public thing and it is there in the...
But it's online.
It is online.
And suppose she wants free legal aid, where does she get it?
Legal Services Authority is there, national level, state level, district level, taluk level. It's very reachable.
That information is also online?
Yes, if you don't have anybody to reach out to your counselor.
Yeah, ward
member.
counselor. Yeah.
Counselor, ward member.
Asha worker?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody. Understand this is a welfare legislation. So anybody, if you are aware that your next door neighbor is undergoing violence, okay, and she is not in a position to raise a complaint or an alarm, you can do it.
But Smriti, the problem is a lot of the times they will come and file a complaint, but the moment they bring their spouse or their father or their brother and they start questioning them and just getting rough with them, the women themselves say, oh, sir, don't do anything to them. I mean, just warn them and go. So it is very difficult for them to also file a case, because the next moment the woman might change her mind.
See, it's because basically women don't recognize that she is being violated. It takes an extreme thing for this recognition to strike. And to a large extent, men in the police force also need to be sensitized about, when a woman comes in, and the best thing is that now there are counselors attached to police stations who give counseling and try to see whether a case can be made out of the allegations that is being made. This is one process by which the women are discouraged because there's no one to support them, saying that, please don't worry, we are there to support you. There's nobody. What she thinks is that she has to end up living with these people in that home. So ruffling their hair will not have a smooth life in at home. So it's all matter of survival. It's survival techniques and,
Yeah, so they don't really want their loved ones to be taken to task and given consequences.
Yes.
I don't think any man will get drunk and go to somebody else's house and hit somebody else's wife.
Yeah, because that will have consequences.
That will have consequences. And there are no consequences if he's going to hit his wife
yeah.
and children.
Yeah,
So I guess it's time we give men or the violators consequences.
Yes. I had a case where one woman, it was a love affair and she ran away and got married. And she's never reconciled with the family. So definitely she could not go back to her home. Now this man, after, the honeymoon period died down, the real marriage sets in and then he started hitting her. Making use of all the money that she made because she had a more economic value than him. Yeah, because she was more educated than him and she was more capable of earning. And all her earnings were exhausted at home and she's subjected to violence, physical, verbal, everyday, violence. We are all human beings. So she thought she reached her threshold and she went out and complained to the police. Police said, okay, child, no problem. Don't worry, we'll call your husband. Called the husband and spoke the thing, matter settled. They said, okay, happy couple, go home. They went home. And the guy said, you go home, I will come back. After some time, I have work to do. He came back drunk. And he smashed her face with, the mortar stone that we used to grind things at home.
Okay.
And her face was smashed. And then finally the police had to take a case of 307. Had the police reprimanded the man, told him that what you're doing can put you in jail, this incident would have been averted. Or at least taken the girl to the safe home. This incident need not have happened.
True. So if we see some violence in another home or in our own home, we can also report it.
Yes, because it's a welfare. Now, this is a classic case where one of my clients, after a reconciliation effort, she was advised to go back to her husband's home and she asked me, I said, see, if you are confident, please go. Okay? But keep these numbers handy. No.
Okay.
She had put my number on speed dial. So it was late night, 11:30 or something. She called me and said, I'm being thrashed up, help. Now, how can I help? I called up 112 and told them, see, there's one woman being bashed at home. She needs rescue. And the police, they got back to me and told, where is the location, ma'am? I said, I'll send you the location. This is the case.
Whenever we speak on domestic violence, our thoughts all go to how violent is our home.
Yes.
I mean, everybody in the audience, they all have this very, very thoughtful look on their face and there is violence at home.
Yeah, there is violence.
I mean, the things we take for granted, normalize and think are very trivial, these are all considered violence by law.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up here and we have covered most of the points. Is there anything that you want to...
Like, I would say that, that we are all social animals. And what makes a social animal is that, a feeling for the welfare of the fellow being. That's what makes us social. And there are laws which is made for that matter alone. So let's help each other out. Let's help one another to be better citizens of this country and try to help someone in need of help. Every systems are there, just
use it.
Just use it, yeah.
So thank you so much, Smruthi. It was fantastic to have you here. Yeah. Always love to hear you speak.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I too had my share of excitement being a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. And like Smruthi said, we can be dutiful citizens and make sure that everybody's rights are protected. We've given enough information as to who can complain, where to go, what to do. And if you're in dire straits, if you need help, you can reach out to us. I will be putting down her email ID so that you can contact her. You can contact Mind Mojo. Thank you.